you can't always expect that the audience, like people that are going to receive and see and utilize your model, is going to be as technical as you are. Sometimes this might be true in an academic setting when you release a paper and there's going to be definitely a technical audience looking at this. But as soon as we move to a business setting, if you're working at a startup, it's not that your audience might be on average less technical than you are. It might be strictly true that actually every single person that's going to look at your model or dashboard is not going to be technical at all. And this is something that we have to understand, because let's look at this example. Let's see what happens. You are a data scientist. Maybe today you are not working on a model that's going to be put into production. Maybe today you are working on a dashboard. Like, you want to understand what is happening with your retention of your product. There was this huge spike 2 weeks ago. There's suddenly like this huge dip. Couple of days later, you want to dig deeper into this. And you are going to go, you're going to look at this problem. You're going to build an amazing dashboard that's going to show you like all these additional stats that you might need to debug this behavior. And you hand it over to the growth team, to a product manager, and they're going to look at this and ask, yeah, but 2 weeks ago, didn't we deploy some kind of uptime monitoring service, like something that's going to like automatically sign up for an account, click around 3 times, and then drop off? Did you filter out for this? And you have to answer this question. And it's not going to be just one of question. Like, you can be sure that there's going to be another question, another question, another question. And there's going to be so many of them. And one thing that you can never allow to do in any well-functioning data organization is for data scientists to become a bottleneck for answering business questions. This is something that we've been trying to solve for quite some time. Like, this is something that we are spending a lot of time on, because it is a huge problem. There are many ways how to go about this. Something that we like to see is that whenever you publish a dashboard, you publish a model, like, you make the source available. This is almost becoming kind of the standard in academic setting. But even if you are in an industry, in a business setting, and you know that you are sharing this with people only within the company, there are no tools that are going to allow you to ship code alongside the dashboard to the stakeholders. They're going to receive a link. They're going to look at this link. There might be some filters, 3 or 4 filters. There might be some kind of a little bit of customization going on there, but inevitably they will want to see where this data came from. And even if you're technical, like if your audience is not as technical as you are, there is a chance they might be able to read that SQL query after you. Like, they might be able to check, did you put like that extra filter there? Like, how does your where clause look like? And suddenly you can not just significantly speed up the feedback loop, but you can also make sure that if your data scientist is on a holiday right now, like, they are never going to become a bottleneck for answering these kinds of questions. Let me take a step back here and first talk about the natural pain points of any kind of growth within an organization. No matter what kind of team you're growing, there are going to be certain where you will have to rethink how you are managing your team. You are starting a company and you are just a solo founder. The collaboration essentially doesn't exist because it's on by default. The moment that you have 3 people in a company, that's the moment where you start to think about, okay, maybe I should introduce some to-do list that might be shared between these people. Suddenly you have 10 people and your to-do list is no longer good enough. Like, you have to introduce some kind of regular weekly planning meeting or some kind of sync where you can talk about what are the things that you have been working on. Then you have 30 people, and there is no way you're going to just be told, like, all 30 of you sitting on the meeting. Like, suddenly you need to create some kind of hierarchical structure where there is going to be like a leadership somewhere thing, like deciding on like high level agenda. They might need to like split out into multiple separate teams. They're going to be focused on some sub problem of what you are solving. And data science team is not different from these principles at all. Like, they still have to follow like these basic rules of organizational scaling. But the things that actually happen, you might have seen this in the past yourself. If you have only one data scientist on a team, things are actually pretty easy. Everyone knows who to talk to. Everyone knows that, this person on Slack can get your question answered. The moment you have 3 people, it's still pretty easy to understand that, yeah, I have this my favorite person here. I talk to them all the time, and they all somehow divide the work between themselves. The moment you have 4 or 5 people and maybe 10 people, you just can't reasonably expect that you are going to message anyone on the team and receive the answer. That's the moment you start to see some kind of specialization. There might be data scientists or data analysts. And the best practices here is that data analysts, particularly, they need to be domain experts in order to answer questions. They just can't go out and solve any kind of problem without context. So we will have to start formalizing things around, even though we have maybe a one data science team, there's all under one roof. I mean, there are multiple ways that we can manage your data science team. There will always need to be a domain expert dedicated to the finance team. There's going to be domain expert dedicated to the product team. There's going to be domain expert dedicated to a sales team. And these are the things that are going to just naturally happen in an organization.
One promise of certain tools like Deepnote and Gradio and other, I think, great tech tools out there is that potentially you might be able to do more with one data scientist than you could ever before. And before, maybe you needed someone to build a front end and do this and do this. And now you can actually get away with a smaller team, which of course reduces the routing and specialization problems that Jakub mentioned.